everyone, welcome to Finding Country. Tonight we are sitting with Ray Remington. He's an Americana artist originally from Bakersfield, California. And today we're just going to sit and chat with him and learn a little bit more about his story. So, so how are you today? I know you had a long drive, right?
Yeah, drove from North Carolina near Mooresville, and but yeah, glad to be in Nashville, so it's nice to be back.
Yeah. So, how did you kind of end up in Nashville, I guess?
Yeah, so it's kind of been this ongoing struggle the past 10 years, since the age of 19, just my first attempt at Nashville. I've come and gone, and it's been kind of since then that I've been just pursuing the whole thing at Nashville. And but I've done, I was a worship pastor as well, so I've kind of gone back and forth on doing that, and then just finding my sound as a songwriter as well, So, but yeah, I came back last summer, and I ended up talking to a friend of mine, Greg Stewart, and we talked at the Frothy Monkey, and we just talked. Oh, thank you. Yeah. Oh, what's that?
She was trying to steal your wine there.
Oh, gotcha. No, you're fine. Is this one mine?
That one's yours.
That one's mine. Got it.
That's what.
That's great. That's good stuff. So yeah, basically, I've been pursuing music since I was about 19 years old, and it's just been kind of an ongoing battle of, what genre do you want to be in? What's that sound? And so for me, it's just been years of just crafting it. Yeah. And I want to say in 2016 was when I really knew that, Americana country is what I wanted to get into. So I guess last year was kind of full throttle.
Yeah.
Just going into it and being able to actually, pursue it. So we did a record super fast. I mean, we did it in the fall of last year of 2019, and we released it in January. And, I told everybody, I was like, I want it released January, no matter what it sounds like. And, we put it out on all digital platforms.
Yeah.
So,
New year, new you. Huh?
Yeah. New everything this year.
2020.
Right.
So, you mentioned that you kind of had this moment where you realized that you wanted to be an Americana artist. So walk me through kind of how that epiphany occurred and how you discovered your place in country music.
Yeah, so it was all kind of crazy moments and memories where I came in 2016 to record a worship EP under my middle name. And basically, I was on the same flight coming to Nashville as Dave Cobb, and he just won his Grammy, with Chris Stapleton on the Traveler record. And we basically started talking. I took a photo with him in the airport, and I wasn't happy with my sound, and the producer I had at the time just didn't really understand what I was doing. So I took this random trip to RCA Studios, and I basically ran into Dave Cobb, long story short, and basically, kind of casual moment, and basically, I showed him what I was doing and what I wanted to do, and he just encouraged me to do Americana country, as that was kind of the route I wanted to take. And I don't really have an accent, so I was like, well, if I don't have an accent, what's it worth? But turns out you don't have to have an accent to do any of it. You just have to really be honest with yourself and a good story. So in 2016, kind of the end of 2016, I want to say, was kind of the pursuit of Americana country. I went from using my middle name Steven to going by my first name Ray, and kind of just switched it up, and people started taking to the songs a lot better. One of the first songs that I wrote that was not a Christian song was Honky Tonk Blues, Come On Baby, which is inspired by Hank Sr.'s original song Honky Tonk Blues. So yeah, those songs I started playing around town, in Leapers Fork, Tennessee, at Puckett's, the open mic nights, Bluebird Cafe, you know, places like that. So that was kind of the start for me.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So kind of switching to your most recent EP, I know that you wrote Texas Rose.
Yeah.
I read that you wrote it about actually your wife and you going out and, you know, dancing in the honky tonks. So that kind of made me think, like, how did you guys meet, actually?
Yeah. So, again, like, doing, like, the whole Christian thing, I used to lead worship in a church. And we met at church. So, like, we grew up in the same church, which was, like, 1,500 people or so. And we never met each other until, like, later on. And, like, she was out there kind of giving me winks. And I was like, I'm just trying to, like, sing a song to God. And so it kind of happened like that. She'll say differently. But it basically, we connected, like, I think it was July 3rd, like this pre-4th of July barbecue. And we just clicked, you know, like, so quick. And it was kind of like a best friends. Just from the beginning. So Honky Tonk Blues takes this idea of going honky tonkin', and you know, both of us being parents, it's like it says it's been a while since it's just been me and you.
Yeah.
So since we had like a date night, so we're going out listening to an old Hank Williams song and dancing to that.
Gotcha.
And so yeah, that's where it was written from. Kind of a fun song for people to dance to.
That's great. That's awesome. So you know, speaking of like country music and Americana and whether, you know, just country in general, like that word, what does kind of the essence of country mean to you?
Yeah, I think it's, for me, it's roots music, being able to, you know, tell a story. I know when I was younger, my uncle and my dad and my mom, you know, everybody would take us on trips and we'd listen to Johnny Cash or Bob Dylan or, you know, Marty Robbins especially. And I couldn't stand the music at the time. I was like, this is not what I want to listen to. I want to listen to Guns N' Roses, you know? And, you know, for me, it was at the age of 19 when I started really appreciating it. Just the sound, crafting the music. And I understood, you know, because early on I was an electric guitar player, so I wanted to hear songs that had guitar solos. And it was the moment when I understood about being a songwriter that you're seeing a song in its entirety, you know, as taking a story from an experience, you know. And so I think for me, country music is telling a good story. And, you know, sometimes like Texas Rose, my grandfather doesn't really live in Montana, you know, but and I've never actually met him, and so, but it's a story about this guy who's going to take care of his grandfather, you know. So I think being able to tell stories that people could relate to is also country to me.
Yeah. No, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So speaking of stories, what was the coolest part about recording your kind of debut EP?
Yeah. My favorite thing was that it was so spontaneous. I didn't expect to record that fast. Like, you know, you come here to Nashville with that plan, but then when somebody comes to you and is like, hey, you know, let's record an EP, and you just get all that stuff together, it was just such a natural process, and I've tried that before and it never happened, and I guess it's just about right timing with everything. And so I think that was the most exciting thing, was being able to, this time around, I got to pick all the session players versus the worship EP I didn't really get to pick all the people. And I knew exactly who would contribute to kind of tip the hat to traditional country music and Americana. And so one of those people being Kenny Vaughn, I was like, well, I've heard him with Marty Stewart, so I know what he'll do, you know, in the record. So, and I mean, he came in, you know, and I mean, one of the first songs I think was Texas Rose, and he just came in with the riff that you hear at the intro, and it's like he just did it so nonchalantly, you know. So I think for me was just being able to see that natural process of, it wasn't like pulling teeth, it literally just happened at the right time. So, yeah.
So, you know, those experiences,
Mm-hmm.
transitioning from recording the kind of worship music to
Mm-hmm.
recording an Americana album.
Yeah.
What were, I guess, the biggest differences between those two experiences?
Yeah, believe it or not, in the Christian industry, you know, you're kind of, you have to, it's this whole thing of not really being honest to the full extent. And I get it, you have to be radio friendly, all this different stuff. But I felt that it was holding my songwriting back. And so if you hear my Christian EP, you could actually hear No Other Love, and it's kind of like full band. And the lyrics are all there and everything, but it's not the way I wanted it to sound. I wanted it stripped down with a steel guitar, you know? And so I think for me, being able to just be myself was the biggest thing.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's the biggest difference in those. And, you know, and that's even a fight in country music. I mean, it's all genres. But I think for me, I was able to express myself more in country Americana versus Christian music.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it's what made me happy. The cool thing, a similar thing, is that you know, in Americana country, you have Christian roots there too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Johnny Cash, the Carter family, all did, you know, gospel roots. So
Yeah.
I love that as well.
Yeah.
You know, so I think that it goes hand in
It's
hand
still,
with it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I know you also have had a similar experience.
Oh
right?
yeah, I came up in the country scene. For
Yeah.
me, it was a bit of a contrast where I was playing in the bars until 2 a.m. on a Saturday night,
Yeah.
and then in 4 hours I'd be at the church leading
Yeah.
worship, and
Wow.
eventually I realized like I need to choose a lifestyle here, so of course I chose the you know, drinking in the bars, and
Yeah. There we
so
go.
far I've been hit by lightning, so I guess I made an okay decision.
Yeah, and you're indoors, so you're good.
Yeah, well, I was standing next to somebody taller.
Yeah. That's great. Yeah, it's an interesting thing, just kind of going back. And I mean, there's even people in the church, when I had telling friends that I was going from Christian to Americana country, they thought I was like selling my soul, you know? And so like you have people that either embrace it in the church or are completely against it, you know? So, and I think it's all a healthy balance too, you know, like when I first came to town, I was like, you have that Hank Sr. mentality, you just want to live that outlaw, you know, style.
We all think we're Hank.
Yeah, right, yeah, and it's one of those things, it's like, you know, honestly, like, I'm not even that much of a beer fan, like, I have wine and, you know, maybe 2 bourbons max, you know.
Occasional moonshine.
Yeah, occasional moonshine, that's right. And, you know, but I realized pretty quick that, you know, there's a great balance in, you know, everything that we do, and being able to be responsible to remember my lyrics when you're playing a honky-tonk, you know, is just as important as anything. So, but yeah, I would say those are the similarities and not so much similar
Yeah.
details.
That's great. Well,
Yeah.
well, I've also heard, speaking of kind of different lifestyles or experiences,
Yeah.
I've heard that one of your kind of long-term goals is to get some farmland for your
Yeah.
boys. You have 2 boys.
Mhm.
What does that dream farm kind of
Yeah.
look like in your
Yeah,
mind?
so for us, I mean, we've moved around so much. Our family has made so many sacrifices for doing music. I mean, we would come to Nashville, go and do the worship pastor thing, come to Nashville. And for us, it's about settling roots and finally being able to settle down. So probably about almost 3 months ago now, we visited Austin, Texas, Dripping Springs, and Lukenbach. And in Lukenbach, just driving through there, I was like, my wife and I were both like, this is where we should buy, you know?
Yeah.
So that's on our radar right now. And I think that, you know, my mom's from Texas, which is cool. So it's nice having that Texas connection. And we just want to really see our kids grow, you know, somewhere where they have roots, you know, and they could say this is home. So I think that's what it looks like for us. My wife wants kind of like a white farmhouse type thing.
Yeah.
She's way into like Chip and Joanna Gaines.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
so, you know, they're not too far away out there either. So, I'm sure she'll be visiting the silos.
Oh, yes.
But yeah.
The Mecca.
Yeah, right? Yeah. They do have great tacos. We've been there. Yeah.
I haven't been there yet.
Yeah.
I've heard good things, though.
Yeah, they're like $3 breakfast tacos. I'll never forget.
Oh, wow.
I go for that right now.
Well, yeah, tell me a little bit more about, being a father and a musician. What's kind of the most rewarding aspect of being able to maintain kind of both of those roles?
That's a good question. I've had to find the balance.
I'm sure.
It's like that ever going, trying to find the balance, because like there's times you have to isolate yourself to write songs, and like at first I felt I couldn't really find the balance, and with the kids it was like I'm writing right now, but now it's like first of all it's exciting being a father, so it's like spending that time with them is very important, so I've learned to write in the middle of the night. And the only problem with writing in the middle of the night now, I use a 1923 Remington typewriter. It's a portable one, so it's this tiny little thing. Yeah, but it's super loud. So like I'm like typing in the other room, and my wife's like, "That thing is super loud." So I'm like, sorry, I gotta like try to tone it down a little. But like you try, and then it doesn't really type that well. So so like you gotta push really hard. And surprisingly, for being a 20s typewriter, it works. Everything works on it. And the shop that I bought it from like put a new little ink ribbon in there. But yeah, I think for me it's just rewarding to be able to put my kids to sleep at night, and then you find that balance of like, okay, now it's time to write and be creative. And for me, I'm a night owl, so by the time they're asleep at 8 or 9 o'clock, I could go at like 2 in the morning and I'm just writing, so it's, that's kind of the balance I have right now.
Yeah, I'm sure it's really hard to achieve.
And just keeping the creative process, I guess, listening to older music, newer music. I listen to a lot of releases that are on, that come out, and I take notes on maybe a sound I like, and then I go back to classic stuff like Marty Robbins and listen to what they did as well. So, yeah.
That's interesting. That's cool. Well, what brings you to Nashville today?
Yeah.
Or this, I don't know, how long are you staying? I don't even know.
Yeah, just a couple days.
Just a couple days, yeah.
So, it's pretty exciting. There's been a lot of stuff behind the scenes where tomorrow I'm going to go record. I'm heading back into the studio, recording probably 4 or 5 new songs. And we're kind of in the early stages of talking about getting signed with a record label called New West Records. And so we're kind of working all that out.
Yeah.
And at the same time, we're getting ready to head out to Austin, Texas at the end of June, and we're going to move there. And just a lot of changes, so it's cool. Like I'm gonna miss Nashville for sure, but I'll always come back and visit or play shows and hang out with you guys. And
The cabin's always open.
So I'm excited just to be at both places, and I think Texas is a really good place, as well as their barbecue.
Oh, yes.
That's another thing I could go for. Right?
Music and barbecue. And I mean, they play like Sturgill Simpson. I was at this one barbecue joint, and they're like playing him and Andrew Combs and some really good people. They're like, we like our country out here, So
good taste in food and country.
And they're just very picky on both. And I was like, I like you guys.
These are my people.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So, and what's cool too about Texas is the players that I've heard out there, specifically in Lukenbach. They're like 70-year-old guys, and their songwriting's just incredible. So I think I've got a lot of learning to do as a writer. So.
Well, that was kind of all the questions I had, but
awesome.
I guess I'll just end on like what are you most excited for, kind of moving forward this new stage of your career and everything that's going on right now?
I think being able to finally say like things are moving in a really good direction, musically speaking, and career-wise, we're all hoping for that moment. And I think there's so many people even in Nashville, we're working so hard towards that goal, and it's like that moment you get the phone call is a really cool thing, and you know your hard work is paying off.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm excited for that. I'm excited to make new friends. You know, listening to the music, and like I've been getting calls about Ireland and Italy wanting me to come down.
Wow.
So I was like, I'd love to go hang out.
Careful about Ireland.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah.
I think I did a tour there, but I don't remember much of it.
Yeah, that's what I hear. I might forget. So, but yeah, I'm just excited about making new music. And yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. So
that's great. Well, speaking of new music, so where can people find you? Where can they follow you and be up to date with all of that? Yeah, so I'm on iTunes, Spotify, Tidal Music, all the digital platforms, and we're working on getting vinyl. I don't really want to do CDs. I like the whole vinyl thing.
I'll buy the first one.
Yes, yeah, I'll send it to you. So,
and you're on Instagram and Facebook,
yeah, Instagram,
all the social
Facebook.
things.
I don't tweet. And I think my account's hacked, but that's okay. You can follow me on there too.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for stopping by our little cabin here.
Yeah, and thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem.
Can we talk you into a song?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll play a song.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
That's why we get them liquored up, folks.
Yeah. Have some moonshine and all. This is called...
There's no moonshine in this whole cabin. We don't know anything about that.
That's right. That was a joke. Or not. This one's called Texas Rose. In open skies where I'm free to roam.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Nice song.
Thank you.
Clap.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. So, everyone, that was Ray Remington.
Yeah, thank you for having me, guys.
Follow him on social media. He's doing really cool things.
Yeah.
Getting all signed to an awesome label over in Nashville.
Yeah.
And you're going to get to say you knew him first if you follow him now. Follow the journey, and it'll be fun. You get to stick with an artist from the very beginning instead of being a latecomer. So,
Yeah.
so follow Ray Remington. You won't regret it.
Thank you all.